What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I got some rather astounding news for you, because today the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, resigned. They say here that to any neutral observer, the writing on the wall was Andrew Cuomo needed to resign. The governor of New York faced 11 allegations of sexual harassment by current and former state employees, verified by an investigation by the state's attorney general. Many of his allies and senior staff had abandoned him. The state assembly was moving toward an opening impeachment inquiry. There was simply no path forward to him, politically speaking. And yet the political world seemed to recoil in shock when Cuomo announced just after noon Tuesday he was, in fact, resigning. And this comes as a surprise to many people because everyone knows Cuomo is a political shark. His dad was I believe, the governor of New York for a few terms. So this guy was born and bred to be a politician, and politicians never, ever admit they're wrong. And, well, to be fair, Cuomo didn't admit he's wrong. In fact, they said Cuomo resigned without ever saying sorry, which I think is the very least the people that he sexually harassed are entitled to, at least an apology. I think they should be compensated more than that by either monetarily or with Cuomo behind bars, but that remains to be seen if the Attorney General of New York decides to pursue legal action against Cuomo for the 11 allegations of sexual assault. And they're not even really allegations at this point, although they haven't been proved in court. They have been verified by the Attorney General, so they're all but proven at this point. All but confirmed, really. And that should be enough to get him locked away for many, many years. But there's also been allegations recently, or not even recently, they've been going on for the last couple months, just more or less under the radar, about Cuomo botching his response to COVID-19. They say here that now that he is finally resigning, it is long overdue for Governor Cuomo to end the cover-up and be transparent by releasing the data from his deadly mandate that nursing homes take COVID-positive patients, which led to the untimely deaths of thousands of seniors. All those families who lost loved ones deserve answers and ability to seek closure, Scalise added. So essentially what they're alleging here is that Cuomo had a policy in place where senior citizens had to be taken back into nursing homes, which, as we all know, the elderly are the most at risk for COVID-19. So if this is true, it is not a dubious assumption that Cuomo would be directly responsible for hundreds, if not thousands, of elderly deaths in his state. But of course, that remains to be proven. The big story right now is the allegations of sexual assault, and I believe almost the entirety of his legislature, which is vastly majority Democrat, has told him to resign, and President Biden has told him to resign as well. And I believe that the majority of his state constituency and the United States at large has called for him to resign, and now he finally has, although it takes effect in 14 days, so which would be the 24th from today. So 2 weeks from now, I believe Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul, I butchered that, I apologize, will be taking his place for the remainder of his term, which continues on through November of 2022, I believe. I might be mistaken. So that's just one more year. And I believe that makes 3 terms for Cuomo, so he's lasted a while. But at the end of the day, man, all the horrendous things that he's done to women and supposedly the elderly in his state have come back to bite him. And it's a good thing. It's for the best. I don't think people like this should be in politics at all. Public service is supposed to be about serving the public, not serving your own carnal desires, I guess, or your flattering your own ego. So it's for the best that he has resigned from office, although they say it's a very, quote, un-Cuomo thing to do. And continue on by saying, "This is truly astonishing," tweeted Laura, I'm not going to try and pronounce that, a former member of the New York Daily News editorial board, in the wake of the announcement. "Anyone who has covered New York Governor Cuomo knows he's a political shark. To stop swimming willingly, to voluntarily give up power like this, it's a little like death." Which, yeah, Cuomo has survived quite a lot, to be honest. I remember last year these allegations were floated around too, and he kind of just took them in stride and nothing ever happened to him. but it looks like they've resurfaced after this investigation, which is a good thing because I think everyone should be held accountable for their actions, especially something this severe, right? And on another note, just a politician in general doesn't really ever resign anymore. I remember President Clinton, he had all those sexual allegations levied against him in the, I believe, 90s, late 90s. And he never resigned. He just kind of took them and nothing ever happened of it. Nothing ever happened to him. Although I guess he garnered a reputation of being someone who has supposedly, allegedly sexually assaulted people. But he still finished both terms as president till 2001, I believe, is when his terms ended. But thankfully here, Cuomo took a different course and actually resigned. I wouldn't say he owned up to it because he didn't apologize. I don't know if he would ever apologize for this because that's just admitting guilt. And if you know anything about, I guess, law, you never want to admit guilt unless you're going to plead guilty, I guess, which I don't think he wants to, especially as a politician. I don't believe he is just going to resign himself to never holding any type of public office ever again in his life. How old is he? Like 60? Something like that? I believe he's in his 60s. But, well, I'm sure he's made plenty of money in office. But I'm sure he's very ambitious. Well, of course he's an ambitious person. So I'm sure he has some type of goal of, at least maybe not right now, but at some point in the future, attaining some type of public office. I mean, his father was a governor. Like, being a politician is in his blood. Although he does have the other option of going into like news media, because we know a lot of politicians will transfer into that career as well at the end of their political one. And he already has an in there with his brother, who Chris Cuomo at CNN, I believe. And maybe they could co-host a show together. That'd be interesting. But either way, whatever path he goes down, I don't think this is going to be the last we see of him. I don't think he's content to just fall out of the public view and die in peace like that. I don't think that's how he wants to go out. But of course, that's all dependent on how the criminal investigation into the sexual 11 allegations of sexual harassment are, like whether he's prosecuted for those or not, and what type of punishments he faces, and then the allegations of his botchery of the COVID-19 response. Which, if that's true, I think that's kind of embarrassing, really embarrassing, actually, because he wrote a book about how great he did, and as a response, how great of a leader he was. Kind of some self-preening there, and maybe a little bit premature, as obviously we're seeing spikes all around the country at this moment. And if it's true that he actually kind of botched it, I don't know if you could ever live that one down, to be honest. Then at that point, I think you might want to just fall out of the public view and live off of your millions. Because he is worth $5 million, which is more than most people make in their lives, I'm pretty sure. So he has more than enough money to live comfortably for the next 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, however long he lives. But something tells me he's not going to do that unless these allegations are proven in a court of law, at which point he might. But he's a very ambitious man, so I wouldn't put anything past him at this point. And he's survived a lot. I mean, he's lived in New York as a politician. We all know politics is a dog-eat-dog world, and he survived that for many, many, many years, his entire life, really. So it just remains to be seen how this all plays out. But with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.